up, we have gate 60, which is limitation, and the gate of acceptance. It's part of individual knowing circuitry, and it links up with the sacral.
Yeah, this is, you can look at this like all the limitations of the old way. It's the adrenalized memory, essentially, of all that ever was, including all the things that are limiting in it. What's that experiment they do with fleas? They put them in a jar and they put a cap on that jar. And as soon as they put that cap on, the fleas hit the top. Limitation. They can't get through the top. You take that cap off after 3 days, they're trained, and even their offspring won't jump beyond the event horizon of that opening.
Mm-hmm.
That's gate 60, stuck. It's stuckness. It's our sense of being in a pulse that we don't want to be in because it's waiting to be empowered. It's waiting to empower others. It's waiting to feel empowered, self-empowered, essentially, to feel itself move through the stuckness. And it's about the recognition that we transcend limitations through the act of acceptance. That's why these two names are perfect for each other. Limitation was the old name, the I Ching. Acceptance is really what we as nine-centered beings have to do. I am limited and I accept that. In that acceptance, we suddenly start to transcend that limitation, believe it or not. And it doesn't mean I'm going to be able to now be like Superman. I dreamed I could fly. I mean, for the longest time, I was probably 10 or 11 or 12 when I finally fully gave up on it. It did not go easy. It did not go quietly into the night, this flying business, and I tried several things. None of them worked, of course. And so,
But eventually you accepted the limitation and
yeah, accepted the
got really into
limitation.
hang gliding.
Right, right. Well, I could have, and then when I finally realized the things I could have done with hang gliding, also, by then I was not interested in it.
Yeah, I was making a
Scary.
joke.
It's too dangerous. I didn't have the full trust of it anymore.
Yeah. But
In
that
fact,
idea, like that would like stand to reason though, is you want to fly, you want to fly, you want to fly. Okay, you can either keep flapping your wings or accept the limitation and get into hang gliding or bungee diving, skydiving, whatever you're
something else.
into.
Right, right. And thus transcend that limitation.
There you go.
Once I realized I could, I didn't want to anymore. I didn't need to, was the thing. But I do remember very clearly the balance between fear and trust was working just fine. I never did jump off the peak of our garage. I wanted to. I never did. I didn't have the guts to do it. I did not trust it.
Probably for the
Um,
best.
I had two giant trash bags on the end of a pole that would have acted like a parachute. About halfway down, they would have filled up.
In theory.
In theory, right? That's exactly. I didn't trust it. It was perfect. But yeah, so 60s melancholy is I'm just stuck. I can't tell. I'm burdened by all the stuff I already know that are already part of my life, that are sort of already this thing and that seems to be stuck in cement and stuck in the mud. And then suddenly it's not. So there's a great depression that can come here, just feeling stuck. And by the way, if you have a gate 60, sometimes you're stuck. You might have to wait a month to be unstuck. Now you better start accepting that so that a month doesn't turn into 2.5 years.
Mm.
Big deal now, because now, right, I just said some big stakes, didn't I? Right? So you got to chip in the big game if you got a gate 60. And if you play it wrong, you're in. You're in for far more than you could have ever wanted. And you'll regret that. So learn the act of acceptance. It's important.
Yeah, and that growth that comes from the acceptance of limitations. So then if you know where your limits are, then you can do something to move beyond them, but you first need to accept them.
Another thing too, if you got this gate, go into the book and read what line or lines you have in this gate. First line, second line, fifth line. What do you got? And come to know them and ask them questions because it's real important. A lot of mystery is here because it's in a pulse. So it's like, why am I smited by God and stuck in this place? And then the pulse comes, oh, sorry, thank you, God. Sorry, I didn't mean it, because suddenly now transcending that. And by the way, aren't all our ancient books and all our wisdoms and every ayahuasca ceremony and every other thing based on this whole acceptance and transcending limitations and the acceptance of the things
You
and
always got to surrender to the reality of your being.
surrender?
Like, surrender, you're human. Surrender because you're not God. Like, surrender because otherwise you kind of end up getting in trouble thinking that you're greater than you are. And like that temptation that usually leads to misery, that narcissistic temptation to think that you're something wonderful, where it's like you just have to accept reality and limitation. And then in that acceptance, you can transcend it, but you first need to surrender to it and be humbled by reality.
That's funny. Yeah, the acceptance of it all becomes just so important. No matter what you actually end up thinking of yourself, and that you think of yourself is something that ends up limiting the acceptance and the surrender. All I know is when you start allowing the acceptance and the surrender, this is a very exalted place, and it's also a very spiritual place. It's a very high vibe place. It allows a lot of things to come through. I accept a lot of stuff. I accept almost everything. It's and I feel stuck as hell sometimes, but mostly sometimes we don't get rid of our not self and this pressure here to hurry and be free of the pressure of this root center that's always in a hurry to be free of the pressure because it doesn't know why it thinks it needs to hurry through the thing and be free of it. If you have an open root center, I have all that going on with a gate 60 in me and a gate 19 both. In fact, I'm sure half the times I'm on approach to something, I'm hoping it relieves and helps me surrender and transcend a previous limitation.